Also, Shittimus here. Here is my throwback segment where I talk about the films that turns 10, 20, 30, and 40 this week. Alright, the films celebrating their 10th anniversary. We just had the new one, First Steps, but 10 years ago this week, we had another Fantastic Four film, and that was, of course, Four Steps, or the Fantastic Four, whatever you want to call it. Oh boy, boy. If you guys don't remember, this film follows like a group of teens who don't look like teenagers, but okay, who built transdimensional portals, causing them to gain superhuman abilities. Of course, directed by Josh Trank, who gave us Chronica a few years prior. It stars Miles Teller, Michael B. Jordan, Kate Mara, Jamie Bell, Toby Cabell. I was so excited for this one because at the time it was directed by Josh Trank, who recently gave us a Chronicle a few years beforehand. This is one of the worst comic movies to ever come out. It is awful. I mean, obviously, definitely tell that this was definitely not Josh Trank's vision at all. But still, I really would love to see the Josh Trank cut. I don't think that's ever gonna happen, but it's it's so bad. I mean, so happy that we do got the new one, and that is far better. Not doing great in the box office, but hey, it's still better than the one that came out in 2015. So yeah, and thank heavily Michael B. Jordan, Miles Teller bounced back from this. Since then Michael B. Jordan's been in like Black Panther, Sinners. Miles Teller's been in like Top Gun Maverick. Whiplash came out beforehand. He's been in other stuff since. So really happy to see that Jordan and Teller bounced back after Forster came out. All right. Now we do got a lot of other films that's better. That turns 10. We got the movie titled The Gift, which is from Blumhouse, directed and starring Joe Egerton, starring Jason Bateman, Rebecca Hall. And it's about like a couple who is intimidated by a figure from Simon's past. And this is actually a really good little thriller. Of course, it was actually the directorial debut by Joe Egerton, who did a great job here. Rebecca Hall, Jason Bateman, a very different Jason Bateman role, really. But it was really creepy throughout. Egerton was pretty terrifying here. Really good little film, if you guys haven't seen that. Alright. Also turning 10, we got Ricki and the Flash, which starred the likes of Meryl Streep, Meryl Streep's real-life daughter, Miami Gilmer. You also have Kevin Kline, Sebastian Stan, Rick Springfield. And of course, it's about a woman who leaves her family to become a rock star and later gets a chance to make amends. This was directed by Jonathan Demme, who of course sadly passed away a few years ago. But he is best known for directing Philadelphia, The Silence of the Lambs, and stuff. I think this was actually one of his finer movies he did before he passed. But Ricki and the Flash is really good. Meryl Streep, that really showcased some of Meryl Streep's music talents. Kevin Kline, of course, plays like her ex-husband. He is terrific. Rick Springfield, Jesse's girl. Who doesn't love Rick Springfield? He is great in this. A really good little film if you guys haven't seen that. Very underrated. I don't think no one really saw it. Even Family Guy poked fun at that no one probably wanted to go see it. Alright, also turning 10, we got Shaun the Sheep. I used to always call this Shaun of the Sheep, but it's Shaun the Sheep. Which is, of course, from Aardman, who gave us, like, Wallace and Gromit, many others. We do got another one coming out. There was, another one that hit Netflix a few years back. Of course, the film follows Shaun and and his flock, who are sheep, navigating the big city to save their, farmer. Like, Shaun the Sheep was actually a really nice little film. Like, of course, I always do quite like Aardman, and Shaun the Sheep sadly it did not really do so well, which makes sense because I don't think Aardman movies are very popular in the U.S. really. And obviously, Shaun the Sheep didn't have literally any dialogue, so I guess it was hard to really sell that to the U.S. audience who maybe seen the British version. But actually was still pretty decent. It definitely had some fun aspects. The sequel was okay, but The first one was actually better, in my opinion. So. All right, other films that turns 10, we got The Diary of a Teenage Girl, directed by Morel Heller, who, of course, will go on to direct Melissa McCartney to an Oscar nomination with Can You Ever Forgive Me? And she also directed the Tom Hanks Oscar nominated film about Mr. Rogers, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, really good film there. And she also just directed that terrible Amy Adams dog movie last year, so has some wins and some losses. But this film, of course, stars Kristen Wiig, Alexander Skarsgård, Belle Paley, and it stars Belle Paley, who, by the way, is also going to be playing Harry Potter's. She's also going to be playing Harry Potter's aunt in the Harry Potter series, which that's still very odd because she's a little too young for that role. But who knows? Maybe she'll do good in that. We'll see. But anyway, Tired Teen Girl. Premiered at Sundance, and it's about this teen who pretty much becomes like, who does some risky stuff and starts a relationship with her mother's boyfriend, played by Skarsgård. It is actually a really decent little film, really decent film about adolescent. Belle Paley, this was actually the movie that really put her on the map for most people because it was like her breakout role. She will also go on to star in that Pete Davidson film, King of Staten Island. She's a pretty cool actress here. Kristen Wiig really showcased some of her dramatic chops. Really, you also had Christopher Maloney from Law and Order fames in this too. Really good little film, you guys have seen that. We also got Dark Places, which is the Charlize Theron movie, based on the book from Gone Girl author Gillian Flynn. It stars Charlize Theron, who confronts a traumatic childhood memories of the murder of her mother and two sisters here. You of course have like Corey Stowe, Chloe Moretz, Christina Hendricks, Ty Sheridan. And of course, this came at like a year after Gone Girl came out and was awesome. This definitely was not Gone Girl. It was pretty forgettable. I've seen this only once back in 2015, and that was really it. It's not so good at all. All right. Also turning 10 is the movie Cop Car, which isn't that too familiar to most people, but it does star Kevin Bacon, and it follows like two young kids and a juvenile delinquents who come across and hijacks an abandoned police car of a corrupt sheriff. Now, the reason why I am talking about Cop Car is because who's the director? This movie is directed by John Watts, is a little name who will go on to direct a little movie about web slinging superhero, which is Spider-Man. This was actually the movie that really I think this was like his directorial debut he did before Spider-Man, before he even got the Spider-Man gig. And he did a great job here. Kevin Bacon was great. Cameron Mineham was also in this. Really good little film if you guys haven't seen that. Alright. Now, films turning 20, we got some good ones here. We got the remake of Dukes of Hazzards. This was actually the first DVD I ever, one of the first DVDs I ever owned, by the way. Now, the film, of course, is based on the 70s, 80s TV series, about the good old Duke boys here. This, of course, depicts the adventures of cousins Bo, Luke, and Daisy, and their uncle Jesse, and their Al Fox, Crook Hazard County Commissioner. You, of course, have the late, great Burt Reynolds, the late, great Joe Don Baker's in this. But it is led by Johnny Knoxville, Sean William Scott as the Duke boys, Jessica Simpson as Daisy Duke. Who did not remember her, Jessica Simpson's little, these boots made for Walken's version? Hot take, I actually prefer that over the original. That's just me. You, of course, have Willie Nelson as Uncle Jesse. Great casting. Willie Nelson as Uncle Jesse was perfect. Now, the movie didn't really get much love. It got a couple of Razzies and didn't do so well. I don't care what anyone says. I enjoyed this Dukes of Hazzards remake. It was from, of course, directed by Jay Tranderscar, who obviously you might remember from the Broken Lizards gang. He did Club Dread, Super Troopers. I think this was actually his first PG-13 movie he ever did. But the Dukes of Hazzards, I don't care what anyone says, the Dukes of Hazzards movie was awesome. Was it as good as the TV show? Obviously not. But it definitely had some fun aspects to it. The chemistry between Knoxville and Sean William Scott was great. I really had fun time with this. Shame they never did a sequel. I mean, they did do a prequel, which was so good, but it's a shame they never did an actual sequel with this. But I don't think the movie did so well. So it's shame that Jessica Simpson doesn't do like any movies anymore. Like remember, like she did that Employee of the Month film with Dan Cook. I mean, I feel like her movie career, her a little bit of her acting career, didn't really take off as much. But anyway, but I've used to always love Jessica Simpson. Like to me, she was pretty much the Sydney Sweeney of the 2000s. You know, she was always awesome. Anyway, also turning 20, we got Junebug, directed, which is directed by who is actually directing the director of the upcoming film A Little Prayer that's coming out. This stars Amy Adams, the movie that really put her on the map for most people. And it's about a dealer in an outsider art travels from Chicago to North Carolina to meet her new landlords. You also have Beth Davis, Ben McKenzie, you know, from Gotham fame, Alexandra Navarro. Junebug is a really nice little film. Again, it was actually like Amy Adams did do stuff beforehand, but this was actually the movie that really put Amy Adams on the map for most people and got her an Oscar nomination. And obviously, she will get some better stuff down the line. Amy Adams is always amazing. Really decent, really charming in this. Highly recommend that. We also turning 20, we got Broken Flowers, which stars Bill Murray, directed by Jim Jarmusch. The film focuses on an aging Don Juan who embarks on a cross-country journey to track down his four of his former lovers here. You also have the likes of Julie Delpy, Jeffrey Wright, Sharon Stone, Chris McDonald, Jessica Lange. Really good cast here, and really was one of the movies that showcased Bill Murray's more dramatic chops. He was terrific in this. Jim Jarmusch is really good too. Really good film there. All right, also turning 20, we got the Chumscrubber, which stars Jamie Bell, Justin Chatwin, who you might know as Goku from Dragon Ball Evolution, or the cool kids might know him as Jimmy from the show Shameless. I always know him from Shameless, Dragon Ball. But this movie also starred the likes of Lou Teller Pusey, Rory Culkin, Glenn Close, Ray Fiennes, Rita Wilson, John Hurd. As of course follows the killing of a teen drug dealer in an idealistic perfect town. And some of the themes address the film that lacks of communication between teens and their parents here. It is a really nice little film. Of course, it was the movie that really put Justin Chatwin on the map. Jamie Bell, was obviously aforementioned Jamie Bell because he was in Fantastic Four. Really good little film there. Really decent, like adolescent teen film worth giving a go. Also turning 20 is My Date with Drew, which is actually an interesting documentary about the director who's who's had a crush on Drew Barrymore for years, for more than 20 years, and he tries to find a way to win a game show to go on a date with her. So pretty cool right there. A really good, decent little documentary to check out. I saw this on Showtime years ago. Really good flick here. The director, did a good job. A documentary where someone wants to go out to actually try and date a celebrity. Okay, cool. But really decent flick there. Decent little documentary. Alright. Films celebrating their 30th anniversary. We got Babe. Of course, Babe was, of course, directed by Chris Noonan, and I kid you not, it's produced by George Miller, who, if that name sounds familiar, he, of course, directed Mad Max. He will go on to direct the sequel. I was not a fan of the sequel. But the first Babe is great. Of course, it actually scored a couple of Oscar nominations. One of which for James Cromwell. It tells the story of a farm pig who wants to do the work of a sheepdog. And the movie is terrific. It is really charming. It is cute. Always love the poster, by the way. Of course, the voice of Babe is also the same voice from Rugrats and many others. Chris Cavana. Sadly, she did pass away years ago. She was like a voice legend, and she was great here. It is a really heartfelt film worth giving a go. I mean, the '90s was like the year of movies with animals. You know, whether you talk about Air Bud, Free Willy, Babe was definitely up there. All right, now other films turning 30. No, that should really go by. We got Bushwick, starring Home Alone star Daniel Stern. I actually did remember that. Bushwick is not a great film, but it is a movie that starred Daniel Stern as a sleazy caller who poses as a Scouts leader on a camping trip. Now, of course, Daniel Stern, you might know him as Marv, one of the wet bandits from Home Alone. And Daniel Stern was great in this. I always loved Daniel Stern. You also had John Piloto, Brad Sullivan, and Dowd. It is actually a pretty fun little family movie from the '90s that is well worth a watch. There's also Virtuosity. Now, this of course stars Denzel Washington, Russell Crowe. Of course, Denzel plays Lieutenant Parker Barnes, who has to help to find SID 67, played by Russell Crowe, a virtual serial killer who escaped to the real world in 1999 LA. This stars Kelly Lynch, William Forsythe, Louise Fletcher, a very young Kaylee Cuoco, many others. It is, oh boy. Denzel has done so many great movies in the '90s, whether it's Malcolm X, Philadelphia, She Got Game. If I had to say what is his worst movie of the '90s, it will be this. Thankfully, Denzel and Russell Crowe will go on to work together in a better project years later, which is obviously American Gangster. But this, oh boy, it just wasn't so good. You know, it's so boring. It actually has a very low percent of Rotten Tomatoes, so there's that too. But it is a really terrible film. Really, not anything to go by. It's not so good. Alright. Also turning 30, we got Something to Talk About, which stars Julia Roberts, Dennis Quaid, Robert Duvall, the late Jenna Rollins. Directed by What's Eating Gilbert great director Lassie Hallstrom. It's a woman's world is rocked when she discovers her husband is cheating on her. And that's actually an okay little film. Julia Roberts, Dennis Quaid both played each other very well. Duvall was good. Jenny Rollins was great. Really not a bad little film. Lassie Olstrom is a pretty cool director too, so that's that. Alright, films celebrating their 40th anniversary. We of course got the comedy classic Real Genius. Directed by Valley Girl director Martha Coolidge, starring the late Val Kilmer. And it's set on a campus tech where science and engineering university similar to Caltech follows Chris Knight, played by Kilmer, a genius in his senior year who is paired with a new student on campus named Mitch Taylor. This is actually a really fun little comedy from the '80s. One of the movies that really put Val Kilmer on the map. Like it was like one of his breakout roles he did. Uh, it is a really decent little teen comedy worth giving a go. It was pretty much like, I guess, say, Big Bang Theory of the '80s, really. It is well worth a watch. Alright. We also got My Summer Project, which is about a teen and his girlfriend who raid a military junkyard to find time travel corrupt contraband from a UFO. It's got Dennis Hopper, John Stockwell, Fisher Stevens. Not that memorable. Also turning 40 is Summer Rental. Summer Rental is the film that stars the legendary comedy legend John Candy. You got Rip Torn, Richard Crenna, directed by Carl Reiner, who of course directed Steve Martin's classic The Jerk. This movie of course tells of an overworked air traffic controller who is put on 5 weeks of paid leave and takes his family on a resort of Surfside, Florida. And Summer Rental is a really nice little comedy. Of course, John Candy was very hot at the time. Obviously, he would go on to do other great stuff like, Uncle Buck, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. This was one of his earliest roles he did, and he did a great job here. You also had John Larroquette, Frank McCarthy, Cary Green, Rip Torn. Some really good cast members in it. It was pretty hilarious. John Candy was great. Well worth a watch there. Probably one of John Candy's best top tier comedies there. But that's pretty much it. Let me let you guys. Which of these films didn't actually the most? To me, the 10-year one is actually going to go to Ricki and the Flash. The 20-year one is actually going to the Dukes of Hazzards. The 30-year one is going to Babe. And the 40-year one, I should say Real Genius, but the 40-year one is going to Summer Rental. One of the most funniest 80s comedies of that year. Of that era. But anyway, drop comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for notification. This is Timmy.